don't look. Don't look. So I'm going to just put what you see in my screen. So here and maybe here. So this is going to be maybe better for you. Who knows that I already have a square in the back of this paper? No one knows. I think this is going to be better for you. So we are going to start. This is going to be a bit tiring, so I recommend you don't do this on easel. Like that. Yes, perfect. But I will do that on easel because I have the cameras. Thank you. So the thing is, I don't need to make it like super accurate. I don't need to paint or draw the proportions exactly as I have them in the reference. So what I am going to do is just more or less calculate where I have it, because I can see, let me see, yeah. So this is not the best color, maybe something lighter. So I can see that here and here, I don't have the same distance. I have more distance in the bottom, so that's what I am going to do. And same here. So this distance here is going to be same as this one. However, I have more distance here. So this is what I am going to do. And like that, I already have my item. Will this be recorded? Yes, don't worry, you will have the replay later. So where were we? Yes, more or less the middle of this thing is here. So I am going to put it here. And like that, I can estimate, okay, this is like the middle, something like that. I'm going to use the marks that I already have in my paper as reference. So here I have the little head, something maybe like, imagine this is what we have here from the head. In the middle, I have the, here, this little bump. So that's what I am going to do. Something like that. And super rough without any detailed lines. I don't want to make anything super detailed because that's why I am painting. This is just the drawing phase. So something like that. Super polygonal lines. So here, this is where I put, so maybe it's not like that, more or less, right? If something is weird, I can correct that later. So don't worry, because we are going to paint. I will put a bit of tape so my paper doesn't move. Do you see that right? Yes, yes. I have a meeting. Oh, don't worry, you are going to have the replay. So if you miss anything, you will have the whole thing in your email. So just that. Okay, now this shouldn't move. And I am going to put, I love using this thingy. This is blue tack. And I am going to put something in the board that it's, look here, that is attached here. So it doesn't move. Okay, let's continue. Where were we? So now, no, I know that here, I cannot go farther than that. So maybe something like that. This is a tricky part, right? Something like that. Yeah. Finally here, I am being more detailed in this part because of course it's like the important part, and the eyes can go one here and one here. And of course, as I always say, the duck is not going to complain if you are making it thinner, fatter, bigger, smaller. So it's fine if it's not super perfect. We don't care. We just want to capture like the general feeling of the whole thing. one of the things that I do when I want to, it's looking super weird in the screen. One of the things that I do is try to mark, let me erase that, where I have my shadow. So I know that this is going to be my shadow, but I can see like here, can you see like, whoops, maybe, I am using Procreate. So let me down. So can you see this part? It's still too stabilized. Can you see like two different parts there? So I am going to put them. So one is here and the other one is here, like a bit of double chin, double neck. And I think it's going to look cute to capture that. So this is darker and this is going to be lighter. So let me just put that somewhere. And here I also have this little hairstyle that it has here. It's cute. Of course, this is everything in shadow. I think it has a small head. It's fine. I can adjust things if I see that anything is not correct, or I can leave it if it's cute. So I think it's cute. I am going to paint the shadow or draw where the shadow is. And that way, can you see how the whole drawing gets balanced? Now we have this weight here is now balancing everything. It's not just the ducky, like not centered in the middle of the composition. Now this shadow is balancing everything together. So I think it's nice if we put all the weights that we have in the drawing. So for example, here I can now add all the information that I need. I have something going on here. So like that, this is a shadow, and now here I can see another shadow and another one here. So here is like super dark. However, here is light. So I think that's it. We have now the ducky. If we want, we can of course add the highlights and just mark them for later, but I will probably cover everything and just paint wet on wet. So, but yeah, we can of course add the details if we want, but I think it's already enough. It's an achromatic object, so it's going to be tricky because it's the same color, right? However, we are going to learn how to add different colors without losing the yellow feeling of the whole thing. So that's it. While you finish, I am going to show you my palette, my colors. Okay, so let me remove my mouse. That's not needed anymore. So the first thing that I'm going to do is transfer here, recycle. Can you see this nasty? This is my solvent, but this is all the pigment that gets to the bottom when you let it sit for some time. So I have here some jars with solvent, and of course maybe here, can you see that better? Can you see how nasty this is here? So you can see all the solvent and then in the bottom. So we are going to do that here. I want to use this solvent. Look, this is This is super transparent. I want to reuse it, of course. And when I finish this class, I will just clean this because if not, this is going to get solid. That's the thing. If we try to notice all these shadows, all these details now in this part of the drawing, we are not going to need to see them when we are painting. So the more details we add now in the drawing, the easier it's going to be when we are painting, because we have all the information here. Here, now, for example, imagine that I want to change my background. I can add, like here, for example, gray. Here, for example, I can add the purple. Here, I can add the double shadow. So all the information that I can see in my drawing phase, now is the time to put that there. And when we are painting, everything is going to be there. So easy. So I have here my solvent ready, and for my medium, I am going to use the lid. So this is the medium that I am using. This is solvent free, and it's not been opened for a month. So now don't look again. Perfect. Easy. So this is how I am going to pour my solvent, and with just a little bit is enough. If you don't clean this, you are going to end up with something like this. This is my solvent from last month. So now all this is just gunk. I have to pour some alcohol to dissolve this and clean this maybe with the knife. But yeah, it's going to be nasty. So later. This is why I grabbed one new lid for the medium. Solvent or medium? So this is a solvent, and it's going to be useful to clean the brushes and to clean everything from the brushes. And the medium is going to be for applying into the painting. If we want to thin out the painting or the paint, if we want to make it fast drying, or if we want to add gloss. And now I am going to compose my palette. I usually have my colors here, but I am going to use the opportunity since I had to clean everything. Again, a month without painting, everything was super dry, so that was a hard time cleaning everything before. So I'm going to use my regular palette. This is, where can I put this here? This is titanium white. I am using Gamblin. This is the brand that I love. You can use 1980 if you don't want to spend much in oils, because it's a really pigmented brand, student grade, but you are not losing a lot of the quality. This is everything as planned. So I am going to use Hansa yellow. This is my preferred yellow to substitute the cadmiums. But if you want to use the cadmiums, you can use that. For example, now that we are going to paint something that is really yellow, I am going to add more yellows into my palette. Not just the Hansa yellow, but I'm going to use also, let me show you, the cadmium yellow. This is because I will have more range of oranges, greens, etc. And it's going to be super useful for my ducky. If I paint a different thing, for example, strawberries, I would just have one of the yellows because that would be enough. The reds, I think my go-to red is Naphtol Scarlet. Again, substituting the cadmium. It's super vibrant, you can see that. So you can get really beautiful oranges with that. And I also like having, maybe this one better, Echinacridon Magenta. And this is going to be useful for my purples. So look how pink that is. Oh, yes, everything is listed. In my online course is even more than this. It's all the whys and reasons why I choose these colors and more options. So yes, everything is in the course, don't worry. Just go take care of your baby. And of course, you are going to have the replay. Yes, of course. Thank you. Then for the blues, I am going to have two blues. Ultramarine blue, it's a common blue to use. And then I need like something better. And in this case, we are going to use this radiant green. So instead of having any turquoise or things like that, I think it's nice if we have something to spice things up, because we have a really yellow subject and I want to have something extra than yellow. And I will also put this cadmium chartreuse. I never know how to pronounce that. And again, it's stuck. Yeah. So look at this, how vibrant and how beautiful this is. So depending what I am painting, I am going to compose my palette one way or the other. That's the thing. So depending on if I am painting fruit, for example, I want vibrant colors, but I am going to adjust that to the fruit that I am painting. Chartreuse, I don't know. I have tried with Google and still don't know. Anyway, as my black, I will use the X purple. This is my, please don't tell me it's dry. It's there, it's there, it's there. See, everything as planned. This is quality streaming. So yeah, it was broken, so. Anyway, this is the palette that we are going to use. Again, the Titanium White, Cadmium Chartreuse, Hansa Yellow Medium, Cadmium Yellow Deep, Naphtol Scarlet, Quinacridone Magenta, Diox Purple or Dioxazine Purple, Ultramarine Blue, and Radiant Green. Of course, you can, yes, you are going to have the colors. Maybe not. If I forget about that, remind me in the WhatsApp group and I will list you the colors. Yeah. Okay, so with that, we are ready to paint. The first thing that we are going to make is the general mixers. Instead of making an underpainting for this, if I was painting, for example, in a wooden panel, something that I commonly do is put an underpainting. Something pink, something, I don't know, teal color, even yellow, maybe not for this yellow. But for this, now that we are painting on paper, even yellow, maybe not for this yellow. But for this, now that we are painting on paper, I don't want to do that because the paper can warp with the humidity of the imprimatura, blah, blah, blah. We don't want that. So I recommend you experiment on that. And we are going to make just the painting directly into the paper. Yes, it's oil paper. This is really interesting paper. You can see the texture. I hope you can see that. Let me change that. I hope you can see the little grain, the little texture that you have simulating a canvas. So yeah, do you all have, let me remove here the file. Yes, perfect. So, okay. And with that too, and bulb, we are all ready to start. As my black, I choose Dioxazine Purple, and you will see why. This is just a primary palette, but with some twists. So we have the yellows, the reds, and the blues, just that. So yeah, we are going to start painting. I have here some paper towels. I have here my wipes from typical Mercadona. If you are from here from Spain, you will recognize them. Do these colors smell? No. And at least for me, these are not as smelly as other brands. And the most important thing is this thingy and the solvent. This brand has everything without smell. If you look at the solvent-free versions, so everything is pretty nice for closed environments, if you are sharing your home with more people, etc. Of course, you have to still ventilate from time to time, but it's better and safer. And the yellow is the chartreuse green is the cadmium chartreuse. Hansa yellow, it's just super light. I don't know if you can see that. So it's just super like cold yellow. It's like a greenish yellow. It's fun. Then we have these two. This is the cadmium yellow dip to make oranges. Okay. Let's start. If I miss any question, please let me know later. And let me change this so you can see like that. Maybe better. Perfect. So we are going to start with the easy part that we see. For me, is all these shadows, all these, the body. The body is the easy part here. So I am going to do some general mixtures with the knife. I think it's better if we do that. So let me change maybe the marker Yeah, this is the color that we are going to make, and then this is the color that we are going to make. So these two colors, you can see them here in the screen, are going to be my general mixers, and from those I am going to build the rest. If I do all my mixers with the brush, I think I am going to use some new brushes. Exciting. So these are the brands. The brand that I'm going to use. I don't know if you can see them. Beautiful new brushes. Let's see how much they last like that. Yeah, if you want to buy Gambling, I offer a discount 10% off, I think, in Arte Miranda. It's not commissioned or anything. I don't earn anything, but they gave me the coupon, and I think it's cool. So if you want to use Arte Miranda, you can have a 10% off, and you can buy Gambling or whatever you need. And it's worldwide. Okay, so, and the code, well, I will put that in the chat. Please, Andrea, remind me. Okay, so this is the yellows that we are going to make. The first one is super easy, as we can see. So let me change that to this. The first one is going to be just straight from the tube. I think this is already pretty like exact match. Can you see that? Maybe for the local color. We are going to use that. Still, instead of using the color straight from here, I am going to just give it a mix here. I think it's going to be a nice one. A better consistency. And for the other one, I think I am going to use maybe a bit of the two just to give it more body. I don't know. I don't care about the yellow. The thing is that I am going to use just a tiny bit of ultramarine because it's greenish. Can you see that? How this color is a bit greener? I don't know. So just carefully. I don't want to ruin the whole mixture. So let's see. Now it's too green. So this is why I play with colors instead of learning a formula. I am going to analyze its color when I am making them. So now that I have this greenish color, I think it has to be redder. So I am going to add a bit of the red, just a tiny bit. Let's see. No, we need something darker, right? So we are going to use our black substitute, that is this Diox purple. Let's see if we get something similar. It's a bit weird for me because it's different what I see here from what you see in the screen. So I have to double check everything. So yeah, I think this is a really common, a really accurate color. We are not looking for 100% accuracy. We want something similar. So even if this is not exactly as what we need, so I could put this here and this here. Come on, like you can do this. Even though this is not, this is even redder maybe, it's fine. We are going to use that. We are going to use that because that's what, that's when magic happens. Each one of you is going to use a different variation of the same color, and the ducky is going to have a different character. So we are going to use that. Now back to the painting, and with a white brush, maybe not this white, maybe this one. It's a bit stiff because it's new, but it's fine. And now, yes, here I added the medium straight from the tube. But what I am going to do is just dip my brush just a tiny bit, so you can see here, just a tiny bit, just like that, into the medium. And with that, I am going to mix it with my paint. So maybe a bit more until I find a consistency that I like, something comfortable for me that depends on your tastes. So brush numbers, those are irrelevant, and I will tell you why when we finish. This is the number 2, but again, irrelevant because each brand makes their own, yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that the color was accurate, but that's not the point. So we are going to start maybe here and take a look if we have something that we like. Maybe with more medium. Can you see how I am not covering the whole thing? This is because my paint is a bit thick. So I am going to make it liquid with more medium. I don't know if I love that color, but I will keep going anyway. I think it's not the worst one. Maybe here. So in the parts where I can see the darkest. Not because I start with dark. And by the way, I am going to use a mole stick. So mole stick is a regular stick because this is just a regular stick from typical Leroy Merlin. So you put that here and you can just use it as a support. So if you are using easels, I think it's really nice to have one. So yeah, let's see how can I add this color. Can you see the texture of the paper? This is why I use underpainting. I don't want to have all these little dots bothering me, my little OCD. So, but yeah, it's nice. We have to let them breathe. That's also going to make the painting beautiful somehow. Now that I have my darkest parts, I am going to mix in my palette. Can you see that? In my palette, I am mixing that. The first one and the second one. So I don't have to use the knife again because it's just a temporary or a short, a quick mixer that I am doing just as I am painting, adapting to what I need. So let's see. One of the things that I wanted to mention, can you see the gradient in the shadow? I think this is really interesting. So here we have more orange here. Can you see that? Let me put the palette out so you can see that. So here, this is orange, right? While here, this is green. Can you see the difference? If we put the two together, can you see how one is orange and the other one is green? So those little things, those little nuances are the ones that we have to capture in the painting. That's what's going to make the painting unique and interesting and fun. So thank you, Maya. I appreciate that. So this setup is what I use in my courses, etc. I think it's really nice because it's handy for me to explain all the little things that I need with zooms and things like that. So yeah, I appreciate that. So I am using this intermediate color here. Let's see if I like it. I am just applying color more or less, not super accurate, but kinda. We will enhance things later, but as we were saying, now look how I am just in the palette here. I have like a small red. Can you see that? And now I am going to use this red for the gradient that I have. So here, if I need something lighter, I am not going to add white because it's going to desaturate my shadow. I am going to use yellow. So something like that. And slowly making the gradient until this green part. And for the green, I am going to use, same as we were doing before, a bit of the ultramarine with the yellow to make this really green color. And since it's just a tiny bit of the paint that I need, I am not going to use the knife. So just that. Can you see in the painting how it's a bit noticeable? If I want, I can use this punchy green, but can you see, maybe that's too much. But I want to have like the difference between the two. Maybe that's too much. I don't know if I like that. That's the thing. The more you paint and focusing in these small color variations that we have in the references, the easier it gets. It's going to be super easy because we are also training our eyes. One thing maybe I am regretting a bit with this brush size. I need something bigger. It's being a bit annoying. So if you are painting this, maybe use a larger brush. But yeah, again, here we have a bit of the green. Can you see that here? So just all this part here, a bit greener, same as in the top. I am comparing everything all the time. Yeah, I am doing that with Procreate, yes. What else? So again, look, I am going to use this yellow. I think it's going to become handy. Instead of using white to go lighter, I am using the yellow. Here I want to use to make this transition here. I think it's cute. And since we are in the green part of the gradient, we are using this gold green for that. In the other one, we are going to use the other yellow. So I am now removing, look, in my, here, in my palette, I just remove the excess. I don't have to clean the brush all the time. My solvent is still clean. I haven't cleaned anything yet because I am using the same ranges of colors. So I just have to remove the excess and now go back and grab whatever I need. Of course, if I am going to grab pure yellow for that, maybe yes, I have to change brush or clean it super, super well. So, wow, it looks horrible. Okay, you can see the replay, don't worry. So I will just do this little transition here. Can you see these two yellows that we use? So using the same yellow, or we are painting the same item that it's really yellow. We are using different colors to make things more pretty, to enhance things. So let's see, how can I blend this a little bit? And then with the same colors that I already have in my palette, I am going to cover the whole thing. So now at this point, I need to cover the ducky as fast as I can because everything is looking disgustingly ugly. And I want to cover everything and see what I should change and try to make things beautiful. So just try to, here for example, I need something lighter. So let's try to, like that. Okay, maybe even lighter. Of course, everything is a bit subtle, all the variations that you can see in the screen. Yeah, and I am not bothering about blending. All the brushstrokes are visible, and that's something I usually like. And what I do is try to describe the shape of what I am painting with the movement of my brushstroke. One brush just is blowing your mind. So yeah, this is something that I don't know if it's good or bad, but yeah, using the same brush, everything looks more consistent maybe. So I don't know if it's good or bad. Now it's the time when I am going to clean the brush. So what I do for that is remove the excess. So let me show you. This is what I have. So I can turn this and recycle this all the time because yeah. So I am going to remove the excess. And now that I don't have almost paint in my brush, now is when I am going to dip this into the solvent. Because if I do that, I am going to contaminate the solvent less than if I just dip the brush with all the paint on it. And I want to have the solvent as clean as possible, as long as possible, because of course it's going to make its work better. How many cameras are you using? I have 3 cameras plus 3 cameras, yes, plus the iPad input. And I have everything with one little gadget here to turn all the cameras, all the things. So it's really cute. Okay, now my brush is clean and I am going to use just paint straight from the tube. So I need a bit of the medium And let's see if I was correct with my darks, maybe I can fix this duck. So let me put this like that so you can see that. And now time to cover all this. You will see, if depending on the colors that you are using, that you are not covering entirely the sketch. And that's because some colors are transparent, so or semi-transparent. In this case, this Hansa yellow is semi-opaque. It's not as opaque as the cadmium, so we usually use the cadmium for that. However, the cadmium can be a bit dangerous if you eat it. So usually, if you can avoid it, it's fine. So something like that, and I will change this in a moment, but for now I want to do the same in the bottom. So here we will cover that, don't worry. Whoops, let's be careful. I don't want to put any dark colors here. Like that. I will cover that, don't worry. And like that. Okay. And now I don't know if you can see. Now I will change the brush. This is going to be the same brush, but another one. Now that I am going to do is use the green, because here, can you see that this yellow, this yellow is a bit cold. It's not as warm as other yellows that we have in the ducky. So here, this yellow is, I don't know, a bit greener maybe. I don't know if you can see that, but it's not as warm as other yellows that we have also in the ducky. So this is what I am going to do. Use straight from the tube, this cadmium chartreuse, whatever it's pronounced. And I'm going to use that to spice things. If you don't have this yellow, of course, here. It's super cute. If you don't have this exact yellow, of course, you can use any cold yellow that you have. For example, lemon, lake yellow. You just have to take a look at the colors that you have available and try to have some cooler versions of the yellow. And now to paint and cover that, instead of painting like that I am painting vertical, like perpendicular to the surface, I am putting my brush like perpendicular to the plane where my painting is. I am going to paint like that, parallel to the surface. And you can see everything is covered like magic. I am painting wet on wet, covering, just because I changed the direction of my brush. And now you can really see, it looks dirty, we will fix that, but you can see different yellows, different oranges, different shadows. That's the thing. Even though it's one single object with the same color, you are not going to use the same yellow for the whole thing. Maybe yellow one black, maybe yellow one white. No, that's not it. We are not using any black. The white is still untouched. We are using just color theory and just trying to learn what we have in the reference to paint a really interesting ducky. So now let's fix what's like empty, like that. We can use a bit of this here if we want. At this point that everything is more or less accurate-ish, we can just correct things without worrying too much. I can use this green here. If you don't have this exact green, of course, just use any blue that you like, but don't use the ultramarine. That's the thing. When I compose my palettes, I try to have something different. So if one blue is going to make beautiful purples, the other one has to be better for the cyan colors, maybe for the, turquoises. I think that's it for the yellow. What I am going to do is paint quickly the duck, or the beak here, the beak, so we can just correct everything in a moment. Usually to correct things, what I do is change everything to one thin brush. Sorry. Maybe this thingy that I have. So with this, I just correct things and everything works usually, hopefully. But what I am going to do here is first finish this, and I think it's going to be better if we fix the whole thing at the same time. So yeah, the same brush. Now, yes, I am going to do the same. I remove here in my paper towel the excess, and now I clean the brush. The change of the direction allows me to cover, yes. So the change of the direction of my brush. So instead of painting like that everything is blending, I am going to paint like that. So imagine I am painting here flat in my palette. Instead of painting like that, perpendicular to the surface, I would just like turn my brush and paint parallel to the surface. So here I am painting parallel because my painting is like that. But if my painting is in my table, for example, sometimes I do that, I could paint like that. And this way I can deposit the paint easier than if I am just like painting the traditional way. Of course, there's more about that. That's like the summary of that. If you keep doing my classes, workshops, etc., you will see more about this, because it's a really long and thing that you have to practice to really understand that. But I think it's with that you can test at home and see what I mean. So let's do the orange. And for that, instead of using the normal yellow, so here, for example, instead of using this normal yellow, what I am going to do is this orangey yellow. I think it's going to be better for the oranges. So I don't want to make the mixer with a knife, because it's just a tiny thingy that I need. So let's see, do I like this color? You are not seeing the reference, sorry. Maybe redder. Let's see. I think it's fine. Okay, let's go. So, exactly, not to drag paint, because if not, you are removing the paint with the brush instead of applying new paint. Okay, let's paint like super quickly the whole thing, and now we are going to add the shadows and all things, all details. I think it's a real subject, because you think, oh yeah, it's easy, everything looks pretty easy, it's one color, but there's many different details and things that you can use in order to make things beautiful, not just a common ducky. Now, what I am going to do is use the other red that I have, because I want to make shadows. And for the shadows, if I only use this red, it's not going to be dark enough. But if I use this one, look how everything is turning super dark real quick without losing the saturation. If I add here black, everything is going to look gray and muddy in no time. If I use color theory, just different colors with different values by themselves, I think it's going to make more vibrant paintings. So let's see. I think it's not as dark as it should be, but I am going to just put it in the places that I need them, and maybe with a small brush we can finish it. So more or less. Okay, and now, yes, now let's switch to this thingy. Now we are going to make the magic. It looks horrible. Yes, it does. That's the thing, we have to just trust a tiny little bit, and we are going to make things beautiful in no time, you will see. So making a really dark color here, a bit of the ox purple and the magenta, and I am going to make the shape again, maybe like that. I don't know if I like it, but I will continue with it. And then in the So I don't care what I am painting. I don't care if I am painting a ducky, the mouth, anything. I don't care. I am just painting shapes. If I see a little line that goes like that, for example, I will just paint that. It will be isolated from the rest. I don't think about the whole thing, just the individual parts that I can paint, that I can see. And that way I can focus on the color exactly. So what color is this shape that I have here? So let's do that. If I have a red triangle, I will paint a red triangle. I don't care if that's part of the eyes, the wing, anything. I don't care. I just paint whatever I have in front of me. So like that. Maybe I need to put the highlights too and then construct the rest. Yes, the highlights. I will do that exactly as you were saying. You already know me. Instead of adding just white, I will spice things, adding a bit of the blue. So for now, I will add white. So I hope you can see it in the screen. I guess it's small, but okay. I will use the parallel technique again to add here my highlights. So maybe here. Okay, that's one of them. And the other one, it's a bit pinkier. It's not as intense as white, and it's here. Okay, now it looks something better, right? So here we can blend a bit, and here it has to be sharp. I don't love it yet. It's a bit weird. So let's try to correct that. Of course, we don't have to focus too much on one little thing. It's better than if we finish the whole thing before. But yeah, I think this part is really interesting. So we are going to dedicate it a bit of the time. So just like that. It looks awful, but it's fine. So the mindset here in all my workshop is more or less. We are just trying to capture the feeling. So here, for example, like that. Do we like it? Not yet. What do we think? It's difficult for you because you are watching it a bit crooked, a bit not in the same perspective. But I think it's not the worst, right? So let's give it a couple more minutes to this part. What was that? What was that? I have a phantom call. Okay, let's put. I hope the recording is not capturing any of this. So we are going to just finish this thingy like that, maybe. And I think I am going to leave this part here. So when I finish the whole thing, I can judge better all the lights and darks and everything that I have in my painting. Yeah, I think I will do that. Maybe just correcting this part. Okay. I've always done light to dark. That's the thing. You don't have to make everything dark to light or from the back to the front. Those rules are just myths. And yes, you can follow them if they are easy for you, but if they are not helping, ditch them. So I'm going to make the eyes really quick. Can you see that they are not super white? By the way, I will do something about highlights in a moment. But for now, I will cover the eyes and the whole background so we can just speed things up. with the blue. Oh yeah. Yes, I don't have any green usually in my palettes because I just mix them with the blues and the yellows. And depending on what greens I want, if I want more olivey green, I am going to use, you can take a look here, it's going to be fast. So if I want to make, better. If I want to make an olive green, can you see how this is olive green? It's because I am using the ultramarine blue. However, if I use, for example, any other blue that is cooler than the, this is my usual go-to blue. It's turquoise, cobalt teal, cyan. You have any, you have a lot of colors. If you use this, for example, can you see how different this green is? You see that, right? So we cannot get this intense green with the ultramarine. This is why instead of having greens in my palette, I have the two blues and the yellows, and then I can mix them depending on what I want. So we are going to do the eyes. We were about to tell that this is not pure white. We want to make this highlight the whitest white. So this is not, whoops, this is not here. Super white. However, it's lighter than this white here. So we are going to make, maybe with the small brush, 2 dirty whites. So the first one is going to be, I can just mix it here with this color that I have already in my palette. It's a bit of the yellow and green. And that way, painting again parallel to the surface, I can add it. Can you see that? Barely, right? It's fine because in the reference you can barely see that too. It's just the black. So I will just paint that like that. And for the other one, I am going to make it darker with a bit of the Diox. But of course, it has to be still lighter than the yellow that I have. So it's a bit difficult. Let's see if I can manage. Do we like it? If I squint my eyes, it's a bit darker. I don't like that. I am going to correct that with a bit of the white. This is one cute trick that I use to see the values, squint my eyes. So, oh yeah, now that's better. And now I am going to clean the brush, get the yellow again, correct that shape here. Okay, that's great. I am going to use the opportunity to make this little thingy. And of course, it's subtle. I have to make like a gradient. So we will do that. Like maybe mixing with the two yellows, the cadmium chartreuse with the cadmium. So let's see. It has to be subtle, but it's still visible. I don't know. The blue that I was using was the ultramarine blue with the cobalt teal. Those are the blues. I will remove this line. Okay, this is just super quickly done. We will correct things later. And now what I am doing is grab my darkest color. That is going to be substitute of my black. And I am going to add a bit of the medium to make it flowier. And now let's try to make the pupil. Whew, that's nice. And now the other one. Super careful. And this is why I'm using a mold stick. Okay, I don't love it, but it's fine. It looks cute. Okay, I am sure yours look cute too. Don't worry, the thing is that each one of the Takis are going to look different, and that's the thing. I'm going to make the little shine inside. So you can see we are painting wet on wet on wet. All the paint is still wet. We are not letting the oil paint dry between layers. So you can paint in one single go a lot of things, painting a la prima. And I think it's the best way to paint because it's going to boost your confidence. For example, we are painting this ducky. It looks so silly. We are painting this ducky. Mine was spooky too the last time that I painted it. We are painting this ducky in 1 hour. And that's nice. It's one painting from start to finish in one single hour. And when that happens, we are going to be motivated for the rest. We want to paint another one and another one. So I think that's the cool thing about painting like that. Okay, before correcting things, I can correct a couple of thingies. I am going to paint the whole thing in no time. So let me remove the zoom. Now you can see this better. It looks cute with the little hair. What I'm going to do before adding the highlights and all the details, I am going to paint the background. And for that, I am going to use the knife because I want to make like a huge mixture. So let me erase this. By the way, this is why I use or love using these palettes, because I can clean them so easily. I remember when I used wooden palettes in uni, that was like the standard. They were so annoying to clean. Anyway, now this is much easier for everything. Okay, if you do that, however, you have to remove the excess oil of the wipe. Okay, if you are using wipes that have oil, you have to remove it so everything is now dry and you can start. This is just a recycled glass thingy that I found on the street. I just brought it home. You can, yeah, those are like war flashbacks. You can use any recycled glass and you can use photo frames and just get the glass part of the photo frame. That's really nice. So let's do the background. And for that, I want you to notice that we have, let me remove this, perfect. We have something going on here that goes like that. Whoops, you cannot see that. So we have this, right? Like some depth in the painting. So what we are going to use is the landscape techniques in this still life painting. In landscape, in the background, we can see everything the saturated gold, and in the front, we see everything saturated and warm. This is what we are going to use. So let's do one violet, but not the same violet for the whole thing. This is not going to look cute. So, and this isn't going to make everything flat. We already worked in the ducky so hard, even though it's a bit weird, but we worked hard. We don't want to make a flat background. So let's do two different purples. The first one is going to look more warmer maybe, because it's in the front. So let's do that. It has to keep the value correct. So I think this is pretty dark. So maybe we can do two versions, one lighter, just in case. So you can see here, this part is a bit lighter, right? Because of the reflections and all that. Thank you. Don't worry, you can see the replay whenever you want. So clean the knife a little bit, and maybe we can add, to make it warmer, maybe we can add a bit of the reds. And with that, we have one warmer purple, a bit of the red. I have one annoying hair somewhere. Yes, perfect. And the second one is going to be, instead of just purple, I am going to add blue, because if I want to make it cooler, why bother myself doing different purples? I can do just blue. Right? It's cooler. It's going to make everything like more in the background. So just that. Now, yes, I am going to change the brush to one a bit thicker, and I am going to thin the paint a bit with the medium. Can you see that? Because this is straight from the tube and I want to have more flowier texture. And I think, of course, you have to be careful. If you add too much, everything is going to look transparent, and we don't want that. So let's start first comparing the value. Is it correct? I think so. Let's like cut the shape here. Maybe it can be a bit darker. So let's add a tiny bit of the purple. And when I have like big amount of like a big area where I have to paint, I try to put different color variations. Instead of having the same color, like this blue, I try to add different like small changes to spice things up. So like that. Whoops, I don't like that. Let's change that. Okay, now I think you can see that right. Yes, yes. Now I am going to slowly mix these two in my palette. So you can see here, I had these three blobs, and now I mix in the palette instead of mixing everything in the painting. I am mixing in the palette. I don't want my painting to look muddy, so this is why I prefer mixing in the palette. Don't worry if you go close to your object. It's fine. Okay, I think that is cute. And now like that. With the sharp edge of your brush, you can cut things. So I need more medium. This paper has a lot of texture. Let's mix a bit. And slowly painting warmer in the front. So I am going to do that here too. I usually don't do that. I usually just try to capture what I have in my reference. Maybe here, for example, I feel like this part is bluer for some reason. Then maybe this part here can be a bit pinkier. Yes, here, can you see how it changes? This is pinkier, this is bluer. So maybe that's one of the things that I use. I don't paint with Procreate open, but you can learn to see those nuances with the time, so don't worry. But in this case, instead of using that as my reference, what I am just doing is using the technique of cool versus warm, or saturated versus desaturated, to add some depth. When you have like one flat background and you want to add some depth to your painting without making it look flat, this is one thing that you can do. So super quickly, mixing it just a little bit. And we are going to paint the shadow in a moment. And again, adding different colors. For example, here I can add a bit of the blue without making it darker. I should add a bit of the white. But yeah, it's fine if we have just variations of the color. Even though everything looks purpler here, I still have variations of the color. Even green, let's add a tiny bit of the green. I think it can look cute. Can you see that? Those small hints of colors. Like you see everything in the palette, everything looks similar, but in the painting, since they are close to each other, you can see the difference. And even though you can tell that the background is purple, period, you have some little variations, and it's nice. This adds vibrancy. This is one of the topics that I explain in my courses because I think it's a cute one. So, and this part we explained that this was a bit lighter. So again, I am removing the excess. If I need something extra, I can just remove the extra here. But I am not cleaning this with a solvent. One, because over cleaning the brush can lead you to ruin your brushes super quickly. And two, because you don't need to. And if you clean your brush, you are going to make it super wet and super, the liquid is going to transfer to your paint. Maybe you don't want that. So this is just a little trick. We need more white. And with this, we are almost finished. And now for the shadow, again, removing the excess. Let's grab our darkest color, which is the purple. And you can see we also have a little gradient here. Let's take the palette off. Can you see how this part is warmer, almost orange? Here, this is blue. So when we put these two colors together, we are going to have a beautiful background, a beautiful shadow, sorry. So for that, I am using this pink to make the shadow here. So something like that. We are a bit tight on time, but it's fine, I guess. Something like that. And now I am slowly transitioning in my palette to the blue that I saw in the reference. If it's too dark, I can add a bit of the white. And if we want, we can add a bit of this green. It's really interesting. And I think that's it. Let me add a bit of the edge here with this orange. I think that's it. Now that everything is more or less covered, I think I can zoom, right? Yes. Now everything is covered. Now we don't have the influence of the white influencing us. Now we can correct things. For example, if some values are not correct, if I want to add some little details, for example, in the highlight, let me clean the brush. You know that if I want to make like a really punchy highlight, I can use a little bit of the blue, because with color theory, using contrast, complementary colors for contrast, you are using more strength to make like highlights. So let's add just that. Super cute. Can you see that? Now it's like a more intense highlight. And the same in the parts that I see that I have like more like lighter colors, I can just do little corrections. With the green is fine. So here, for example, I have this little toupee, something like that, or with the green, this other green maybe. Now I can correct things. And even with different colors, if I want to, for example, if I want to add here, like this reflection that I have from the matte. So I am going to add some of the purple. I hope I don't ruin this. So, or pink, maybe not purple, but pink I can do like here. Is it ruined? Not yet. So, I don't know. Once we have everything working, we can add like interesting colors here and there just to make things, even without looking at the reference, we can just add here and there some interesting colors just to spice things up. And that's it. I am not going to correct this anymore because if I do that, I can be making small retouches like forever. You know that? It's so difficult to know how to, when to stop painting. So I think we are going to stop here. The reference, I can send that in the WhatsApp group if you want. But yeah, in the beginning of the class, please, can you, whoops. In the beginning of the class, I put that here, and I think I can do that again so you can download it. Let me add the file in 1 second, share. I guess you can see that now popping somewhere in your screen. It's already in the group, perfect, thank you. Okay, so that's it. I want to